Hey, what's going on? It's too loud. Yeah, I hope you're having a good Saturday night. Coming to watch me mess around with this stuff, try to get it all figured out like an idiot. Ugh. Hate friggin' advertisements all the time. So I'm gonna be looking through the Slay Industries second edition book here in a second, once I find some music. If you can hear it. I don't even know if you can. Too loud and abrasive. I don't want any I want no copyright music. Let's see. Maybe this will be it. I don't know if it's even picking up anything. It's a gorgeous book. Now I need to see if I can actually hear it myself. I need to see if I can actually hear it myself. I don't think I can. Hey, what's going on? Hilden, what's going on, bud? Can you hear the music? Let me know. Of course, it's too loud for me. It's like I have to yell over someone to say something. So, I don't know. I just don't like the dead silence behind me when I'm trying to fiddle around with this. So, I'm not going to mess with it. But this is Slay Industries second edition. Um, Very cool looking book. I really like this. I guess this is like the retail collector's edition. The other edition's got Halloween Jack, which is in essence, a contract killer. Yeah, that's good. No music. We don't need that. Have you ever seen this game before, Slay Industries, even in the first edition or this second edition? Because I got the first edition way back in the day when I was in high school. It must have been like maybe 94. I believe it came out in 93. The first edition did, and I thought it was a very cool book. It was very much in the 90s, the way it was written, the way it looked. It had some really cool art. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be kind of going through this, and I don't know, I'm going to do a video for it. I'm going to do a RPG overview for it at some point. So I'm just kind of showing people the process of me kind of reading it and giving my like raw impressions of stuff. I've already read a good bit of it, and I've got a lot to say about it in the overview that I'm gonna finally do about it. But there's a lot, there's a lot to the world, to the setting, and overall, it's a really good edition of this game. I'm not so sure about the system, but the system for first edition Slay was terrible. It was probably one of the most just I don't know, it's not want to say bare bones, but it was just broken. Like right off the bat, you could just immediately you could put all your skill points in like pistol, and then every single shot was just perfect. It had no like safeguards. It had nothing like holding it like bringing the player back from not making like just an absolute uber character right off the bat. And I think they've done a much better job with this game. And I'll be showing, whenever I do the overview video, I'll be showing how this system works. It'll probably be a long video. So I'm very glad that I got this. I wasn't going to get it originally. But let me see if I can frame that up a little bit squarer. There we go. It looks great though. It's a great upgrade from the first edition. It's got some fantastic art. I'm gonna calm down the lighting a little bit. I don't know if that helps. Let me see. Gotta get that glare off of there. That's a little better. There we go. Might make me a little dark. You see my fan going because it's hot, but the art is very moody. This is a very dark kind of world. The original first edition had black and white art. The book absolutely just disintegrated on you when you opened it up and read it for any length of time. The glue was just terrible. And so all the pages came out of it. And it was just kind of a raw game. Some of the stuff they didn't carry on with this second edition, which is fine. This, in my opinion, is just in every way, and I'll be saying this, of course, in the video, this is just a huge improvement over the first edition in every possible way, from its layout to its art. I did like a lot of the art. Some of it was unbalanced, like the way it was. It didn't all gel together. In the first edition, it had very much a hodgepodge of art. All of Dave Alsop's stuff, he's just absolutely awesome artist, and you can see he's just gotten better as the years have gone on, and he's worked with Magic and a whole bunch of other games doing art for stuff. He's just fantastic. Sometimes it's a little difficult for me to tell exactly which one is one of Dave's pieces of art, because there are other artists in there, and I think they share a lot of the same type of art style. So yeah, I love how right off the beginning it shows you the opposition, and shows you everything that's facing Slay Industries as a company and as a dominator of pretty much the known universe. But I like the layout. I like the fonts that are used. It looks so much more professional. The 2 columns looks great. There's many more pictures of way that Mort looks, the way it looks, the city, every facet of it. This is very reminiscent of an older piece of art from maybe first edition, but it's colored. I still really like that. I do believe that. I don't think that's a Dave one. But his art in the first book was just fantastic. I loved every piece. It was kind of like a charcoal look to it, black and white. And he did the Ebon and the Brain Waster art, just absolutely fantastic. But a lot of great history here about the world and what's going on in the game. I've always enjoyed their chat sessions here, the sections here where you can get quotes from people. It gives you a good feeling of the way that the world is. I think that's smart in a way that it does that. Some people might find that kind of an older way of doing things. The whole game is definitely, it's modernized, but then it still holds on to some kind of things that kind of hold it to first edition in the 90s. But just a really great history here. A lot of stuff going on, so you understand what's going on with Slay Industries. I think the biggest thing is just there's so many more enemies to face. This is a great picture here. It's got a lot going on. It doesn't seem like it, but there we got this shadowy, weird creature thing down here. There's so many forces against Slay Industries now, and I think back to first edition, and there was just a couple of things that you would probably throw at the players, a handful, and now there's so many enemies trying to take Slay Industries down. Here's Halloween Jack, awesome piece of art. And it's interesting that he's the cover of the normal book when he is like out of spotlight, and he has been for a while in the meta plot of it. But I mean, he is a recognizable character. They got rid of a couple, like they got rid of one of the main character races, which might have been a good thing, and they explained why they did that too. Can't remember where that is that explains it, but and they just, again, like I said, it's a tight book. I thought it was real. It wasn't very many pages at first. I was like, how are they going to be able to get everything in there? But it's really jam packed. I mean, it's got pretty much everything you want. I love this map here of the Mort City map. For people who don't know, Mort is pretty much where most of the adventuring, the missions are going to be. And so we've got a cutoff section here of Mort. And then we've got kind of a looking down view of it, the different cannibal sectors. And it's great. I can always use more maps. I would love to have even more maps of the way that places look. Like I want to see a map of, the pit and like uptown, downtown. And more maps, the better. More things showing you, like this is a great map here to show you the way that the rest of the world is. And so that's helpful. I mean, they're just doing a lot better with that. I'd love to have a book that's all about the pit. I think that'd be great. But just these two pictures here are better at really showing you what this place is all about. Are you still with me there, Keldon, or what? I'm like rambling just to you. Don't know what you're up to tonight, but want to hear me ramble about this, because that's definitely what this is. A lot of just rambling. Showing you a little bit more about what the cannibal sectors look like. I'd love to see even more pictures, more art of that. This is a cool picture here, showing you the deep construct. That's a whole new thing, a whole nother foe, in essence, to face. They give you a lot more tools to use to create. Okay, you're looking around. That's cool. To create more adversaries for the game. And I'm not breaking down everything piece by piece what this game's about, just kind of showing it to you. There's still some stuff I have to read. I like this thing, how it breaks down the different type of worlds: resource worlds, labor worlds, war worlds. I like franchise worlds. This is crazy, man. So it's pretty much like planets, and they're like, you're going to be a franchise world. Like we have this, which is a Big Smile world, and we make fast food restaurants, and you're going to just make everything for that fast food restaurant. That's what that world does. I think that's incredible. We have all these different products we're trying to sell, and now you're going to make those products for us. And so imagine the people there on that world just being like, this is all we do day in and day out. Maybe they try to sabotage it. They get fed up with the company. They try to sabotage the product that Slay Industries, that they make, that they're pumping out, as some sort of rebellion. Great thing about spaceports here, breaking down kind of a way that they are presented in this book, and obviously probably in other books, letting you know some different places here, different worlds. There is one place that's gone. It's called Orange Crush. That's what it was in the first one. I kind of hated that because I thought it was kind of neat. And it does have kind of this 90 edginess to it that some people might find a little, I don't know, just dated. It's still kind of in here. I still like it. I think you can't have Slay Industries without having a touch of that 90s feel to it. I like this, just showing you the different type of operatives here, maybe waiting for their next BPN, which is in essence their mission. The BPN system has always been great at just being able to get a quick little, this is what your mission is, and go do it, and here's your contact. But this layout, man, like I said, is just, of course, granted, we've got 30 years of improvement of game layout, and here's the blueprint news, the BPNs. Showing you the departmental authorization, the training package that's recommended for the operatives, details about it, how much you're going to get an increase in your SC level, what is the minimum that is required for it, what the pay is, if is it by op or by squad. It's very cool. I've always liked those. The different color codes tell you kind of what the mission is. Telling you all about the different types of employment. That's very cool. From the Shiver units to the Dark Finders and the Corporate to the Sector Rangers. They've increased a lot more of that stuff. And then you get into your character generation. So it definitely has that world stuff in the beginning, and then character creation, and then the rules, which the rules section I really like. There's not, you don't have to jump around a bunch. It's in rules and mechanics. I like its placement. I'm going to try to see here. Here's rules and mechanics. Great piece of art there. It's just, let's see. There's the ebb, so we don't have to mess with that. So it's this right here. This is the rules and mechanics. Right there. Pretty much. That right there. And that's fairly small section to incorporate everything you need rules-wise. Now, there may be a time where you have to, it'll tell you something about your character here, and you need to kind of jump around to the rules and mechanics to explain it a little bit. I don't really see any other way that they could have done that, but just a great overall layout. I'm very pleased with it. The some stuff they have hidden away that they kind of told us about in the story for first edition compared to second edition. So they're kind of like, maybe they're going to rehash that, and they want to kind of have a blank slate so they don't throw everything in it. Because when I went back and looked at the first edition, they gave you a whole ton of stuff to work with when it comes to the story. It might have been a little bit too much. So I think they're holding their cards a little bit tight, close to their chest. And that's probably the smart way to do it for their future books. I hope the game does well, and I know they've got another book that just got kickstart. Their people are waiting on it. It's the Cult's enemies. They've put out the corporate enemies. No, I'm sorry, the collateral enemies. They've got the Cult's one, and then so this is the thing. Okay, so before first edition used to be 2d10. I believe this is correct. 2d10. You needed to get a 10 or higher. I believe that's what it was on 2d10, and you added in your modifiers. It was very kind of basic. So what this does is, and I'm gonna let's see. Let me see if I can grab some dice here. It'll probably make it explain it maybe a little bit better. Of course, now let me see if I can do that. So what you do is you still use D10. Stuff's falling all over the place. You use D10s. Here we go. Now we're working. Should have had these prepared already. Let's see. I'm going to use these 3. Let me try to find this one on the floor. Well, that one, we're going to call that one a loss for now. So that's the thing about this is, like, don't even think about the first edition anymore. Like, this is just so much better in every feasible way, from the story to the art to everything about it, in my opinion. I do miss some of the black and white art just because it was cool. It was a little raw, and that's what I kind of like. So this is just 3d10. Let me see if I got some more. I think I've got another one here. I'm pretty much an incompetent right now. We'll just work with this. So we'll say our character's not very good. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a stat. It's going to be like 1 to 4, something like that. You're going to have a skill. I think it's 1 to 6. 6 kind of is like the maximum. And you're going to have a skill ranking. So let's say it's a 1. You're not very good at it. So what you're going to do is you're going to add those up together. So let's say we've got a 2 and a 1, so that's a 3. So we're going to add 3 to our rolls. Okay, so that's your skill bonus, is +3. So what we'll do is we're going to have, you're not going to roll your base stat. So it's stat plus skill. You're not going to roll anything for your stat. It's going to be your skill dice in essence. But it's always your skill dice +1. So it's always a little bit weird. It's the only thing that I'm trying to figure out exactly what their mentality was about this. So you're always rolling an extra skill dice. So if you have a skill of 1, you're in essence rolling 2 dice on top of your success die. Now the success die we're going to say is going to be black. So you've got a success die and you've got skill dice. So you're going to add that +3 to all of these, okay? So I've got a 10, and there's going to be a target number for that. So that made it. My success, I succeeded, okay? So this becomes a 6, and this is going to be a 12. So this also succeeded. These are the skill dice, remember. These should be probably the same color. Yeah, it's the Terminator RPG rule set. And so you're going to add that 3 to this. It's also going to beat 10. So this is a +1 success with the skill die. And that's going to change how much damage you do, how better you do the action that you're trying to do. And this thing is just bad. And so if you roll a 1 and a 1 and a 3, and that doesn't beat the target number, then this is a really bad failed roll here. So you'll roll more dice, giving you more of a chance to get more successes. At first, when I read the quick start, I thought it was just like you roll this, and you just need to look at that, and then done. Oh, I made it. And so you don't even almost need to roll these. This is what I thought, and this is how I was wrong. It was like, oh, I failed it. I don't have to even look at those other dice. It was like these were just like bonuses. And it's like, well, if I just roll this, but what they've got is a cool thing, and not everything can do this, but you have, if I say I have more dice than this, if you have a certain amount of dice, and your skill dice all come up successes, but this is a failure, you kind of succeed through experience, and I think that's neat. So these do affect your how it is that you can make successes. If this doesn't do it, if you get that right there, and you've got more, I think you have to have 4. Then you've succeeded, even though this is a failure. And the worse that these are, whenever you fail, like I said, they're all failures, then you did something really poor. And so you're going to have a maximum of 60-10, because you're going to have your success die, your +1 to your skill roll die, and then you're going to have up to 4 other dice. So we got 4, 5, 6. So you're only going to be rolling those 6 dice. And I'm excited to play it. I've not played it and tried it out yet. I see that ambiguous, you know that the Terminator RPG rule set, and maybe that, I don't know if you've played it or just looked into it, but that's how it goes. And so these bonuses are going to give you more damage. You're going to be able to, like, if you get more successes, you'll be able to, do you like it, or what do you think about it? I mean, have you run into any problems with it, or what? Because I'd like to know, obviously, for my video that's coming up that I'm going to do on this, but just in practical sense of what does it work? Is this a good system? Or because I was completely wrong about it when I read it on the quick start that they released, and because I don't know, I guess I just didn't get it. But then when I read this, I started really kind of understanding it more. And I've heard that people still, I don't know. I mean, systems are, some people don't like certain systems. They have their own little beefs about them, but it seems that, like I said, these should be the same color. That would make that a lot easier. And then if you don't have the skill, Terminator can be played like in an in given Sunday manner or hardcore. That's good. So yeah, you could play like something small, something kind of big, and I know that the Terminator was written by Andrew Gasco, so that's cool. I like his writing on stuff. I'm very impressed with this, especially coming from the first edition, over 30 years ago. But I want to see how it plays out. Like I said, that seems fairly easy. If you don't have the skill for it, you're just going to be rolling 1 die plus the stat bonus. So if you've got a 2 in the attribute, then you're rolling a +2 to this. So you get no bonuses. You're not going to do more damage. SLA, same company as Terminator. Yes, it's the same. It's what is it? Nightfall? Is that what it's called? Yeah, Nightfall Games. And they did the first, Slay Industries. It's the same guys. They just got some new guys in for so it's like Dave Alsop. I think he's involved in it. He maybe not. I'm not sure exactly. I know this S5S rule system by Chris Shepperson. He definitely created that. And you're always going to read some stuff nowadays about how people don't like they don't like certain systems. And back in the day, we didn't really think about it. This was probably the first game where the system I just thought was kind of broken. They didn't, like I said, what I was saying earlier, they didn't hold you back to character creation and say, hey, you can't put every rank of skill into pistol. And since they didn't do that, people would just be like, well, I'll just put all my ranks in this to pistol, and then I'll just shoot everything, and I hit. Like, there's no way that I can miss. And I pretty much had to be like make up my own rules to hold that back. I played it a couple times. They killed some pigs in the sewer, which was kind of like a normal type thing to do for Slay Industries. But the world, the feel of the place is cool. It has this cool, like, dark noir feel to it. It's a mixture of, like, several things. It's like Blade Runner. There's not futuristic technology, so it's not like a cyberpunk world. I do like the fact that there was a cyber, like, fad that happened, and then it kind of was played out, and then you pretty much can get, like vat grown body parts instead of getting cybernetic stuff. So there's still like a Rust Alley where all these people, like, they're sitting there like bums and like hobos, and they've got a bunch of cyber parts that are all rusted and crap like that. So I think how they talk about that, but just a massive oppressive company that has taken over pretty much the known universe, and they make a lot of mistakes, and they just say, oh well, we screwed that up. We're moving on to something else. And I don't know. It's something funny about kind of the company, the way it works. But it's interesting. It's like, and I was telling some people about this. Slay as a company, they go to these worlds and they say, look, there's a lot of enemies out here in the universe, like in the galaxy, in space. So you've got all these conflict races, these conflict aliens, and they might come down here. They might destroy you. So you can either join our company, and maybe we're going to make you just like mine ore on this company, on this world that you live on. Uh, if you join Slay, and we'll protect you, or if not, you're going to be at you know the whims of these conflict alien races that could destroy you. And so you're pretty much pushed into these worlds. Whole worlds are pretty much like, okay, I guess we'll sign away our world to you for protection. And a lot of the protection, it doesn't really help. It helps them in a sense, is that they'll have Slay's protection. But a lot of the enemies of Slay will then, of course, target that world as well, or they could target that world. So it's neat in the fact that it's noirish. You are an investigator. You can play this very much like a noir investigative detective type of game in a dark, rainy place, full of attitude. There's a lot of attitude and like looking cool. You can play it very much in the sense of the contract killers, in which people just go and kill other contract killers for notoriety, for publicity, for to get sponsorships and get money, to get paid for it. People watch it on TV. They do a very good job of explaining how the normal populace of Mort and Slay Industries, they just get up. The kids get up at 8. They get up and they'll be like 8 years old, and they love like this one contract killer. He's an absolute murderer. There's a lot of Running Man in essence in this. So you can do that aspect of it. There's very many amounts of, I don't know if that's a correct sentence, kind of weird, of avenues you can go with this game. And I think they've really blown it up more than anything with this second edition. And the fact that you can do a whole bunch of different things. And the amount of enemies that are facing Slay is so huge now. And at first I was kind of like, this is weird. Like, who are these people now? Like, what's this whole thing about? There's a funny picture there. But now it makes sense. It's just, you see what the first edition was lacking, and it was lacking foes. They gave you a couple. Dark Knight, which is pretty much an underground, counter company that wants to try to destroy Slay, however it can, through subvertive means, or just straight out in the middle of the street, just gunning people down. Dark Knight is probably one of their biggest foes. You've also got the awesome name of a company called Thresher. Thresher makes really cool, big, like mech suits. Not, they make some pretty big ones, but they're a big industry of. I love these new art too for like the armor and stuff like that. And I'll be talking about these kind of like weapon and armor and like stat blocks. They're good. They could be better. It's probably one of my negatives I say about it, especially when it comes to like the NPCs, because you still have to, like, I know I'm jumping around here, but of course it's me, so of course I'm going to do that. You still, like right here, Thresher Pilot Infantry. So you've got his strength, you've got his dex, but you still have to like do the math. You have to sit there and say, oh, okay, his strength is 3, or like his dex is 4 and his pistol is 3, so he's +7 skill bonus. And I'm rolling 3 dice +1 and my success die. And it'd been nice if they had something that, beside like pistol, it says exactly how much you need to roll, like how many dice you need to roll for that. Just go ahead and do that addition for me. They did it for initiative, because initiative is going to be, I believe it's dex and is it concentration? I think so. And so they've done that. So they've already added that up for initiative, because you kind of have to. But it'd been so much better if they went ahead and, for the skills here that you have to use a lot of this up. Of course, you have to use it for all of them. It'd been great for just to go ahead and giving us dice that you need to go ahead and grab. It'd been quicker, so you're gonna have to do a lot of work. Here's Thresher, a cool picture of these guys here. So many foes. They've added several new ones. So here is also Tech Trex. They're kind of make like, they almost it reminds me of like Mouser, is that what they were called? Yeah, from like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's what they are. They use a lot of little drones and stuff like that to pretty much, go in. You've got these scavs. It's called sector threats. They're kind of outside the city of Mort. Scavs are interesting. A new kind of a way. They've got their own kind of technology. I'm not going to break down exactly what they're about. And then you've got this, which is one of the real big new ones. This is dream entities. And when I saw this, I was like, golly, now they're putting out this. What is this? But it's a fantastic way to create foes, to create monsters, and to create complete like mind job landscapes inside the city that have been altered by these dream realities that kind of infest Mort, and they feed on the fears and imaginations of the citizens. So they're able to create, like, they're able to change reality. And you can really have a lot of fun with that. The first monster book, I should say, which is called Collateral, which I do have, it really helps you explain these dream entities and how they're able to morph reality into a nightmare world. In essence, you could have something that's almost like Cenobites from Hellraiser has taken over part of the city. So it's just very smart. Ninth Division is interesting. Again, there's more stuff to throw at people. You still got the Manchines. I think that's how you say it. Gangers. Serial killers, which have always been a situation. That's one thing I've always liked about Slay, is that serial killers are a part of the game. They're because of the violent nature of the world, of the TV and the media that they all enjoy. Serial killers are very prevalent in the game, and I did one mission where they had to kind of hunt. They had a serial killer mission, so I was able to create a complete crime scene, and I created a serial killer that had kind of his own, MO, how he did stuff. I'm telling you, it is a very cool game. It's a cool world that you can just visualize, I feel. I'm going to show you some of the races you can be here. But it's a mixture, like I said, it's a mixture of several things. It's a little bit Running Man. It's a noir detective game. It is a straight like Silence of the Lambs type game. It is Blade Runner without futuristic technology. It almost still kind of has like an old, like the BPNs kind of spit out on like a fax machine to you, unless you go to like the head office and get it. And so it can do all these things, or you can just straight look at that piece of art. It's incredible. Those things are absolute nightmares. You can do like, you can check out different worlds. Now, granted, there's not going to be a whole bunch of information about these other worlds, but if you want to go and do a BPN that is set on another world, you can do that. So it can expand outward. It can come in very closely where you're actually dealing with Cloak Division, and they deal with a lot of inside stuff going on in the company that needs to be squashed. You could do a Cloak Division squad. You could do stuff with the Ebons, which are kind of like the magic users of the world. Here's your character creation here. You're going to select a species, as they call it. I'll always call it race because I'm just old like that. Let me see if I can get a little bit more light on this without blinding everybody. That's better. I'm sorry about that. Let me move that over a little bit. Let's see what I can do here. I don't want to get that glare going too bad. There we go. So you've got humans, and I really like the way that they break down. I know it's funny to say this about humans, but they explain how humans are like, they're prone to evil. They're prone to like, vices in essence, how their bodies are able to change through exercise. And of course, there's so many of them. It also talks about how they're racist. They're the most racist, even amongst their own, amongst their own type, of course. So you've got them, okay, and they get a couple of special abilities. It is stuff in the metric system too. So just to let people know that. Then you have the Frothers. Frothers are neat, and the Dave Alsop and I think his name's Jared Earl. I believe they're both Scottish, and so these are kind of like almost like Scottish Highlanders, but they're called Frothers because they are in essence a type of human that has been changed through drug use, and they become these. They like melee combat. They become these like frothing at the mouth, um, big sword wielding, just death machines in the battlefield. In the streets of Mort. They like to get up and close and personal, and they use drugs to enhance their fighting ability. But they have their own kind of, they have their own culture, their own, their own kind of way of doing stuff that's specific to them. Uh, they're resistant to drugs, and they feel no pain again from their drug use. Then you have the Ebonites, and now these guys are really cool. And this is one of the main things that really drew me to the game when I first looked at the first edition here. Just the art is very cool about them. They've got sometimes they've got very bright colored. They're very showy. They're very kind of emotional. Um, they can have very different colored, like bright colored hair, but they have this ability called the Ebb. Lets them manifest in essence. Oh yeah, the artwork is too. The artwork's great, and like I said, I really like the first edition artwork, but this has got a lot of great pieces in it too, and I really like it being colored. They explain it as like with the ebon, as them being colorful, but then it was a black and white, so you had to kind of just take their word for it. So they can control the ebb. Now, in essence, the ebb is going to let them do stuff that are it's mathematical equations that they used to have to do on these like glyph cards, but now they have these things called death suits, and you can see them wearing this is a I call them wasters. They've got kind of like the same name. It's like Eben and Ebane. I don't know. I don't like that. They're called. I call them wasters from the. Well, that's the thing. It does. It definitely does. And there's, like I said, I want to show you more. But look at that one there. It's fantastic. Um, so they control the ebb, and what that does is that kind of locks them off of luck. There's a luck mechanic in this game that they're not going to be able to use, but the ebb, they have to put their points into that as well as everything else, so they don't get like more points for the ebb. So a lot of the other stuff is going to have to be sacrificed for their powers for the ebb. And so their death suits now allow them not to have to do those glyph cards to figure out the equation, and they can be very powerful, and they're just really cool. The death suits are awesome, and the first edition really brought home that the death suits were very personalized to each one of them. If they wanted it to look a certain way, they can just kind of will it to look that way. If it has a checkered pattern, is it bright purple, how much of like the skin man suit, it's called a death suit, how much does that look? And I just thought it had a very cool personal thing about it. Then you've got the Stormer 313 Malice. This is a pretty much a bioengineered it looks like a skinned horse in essence, but they are just absolute brutes on the battlefield. They're about 9 feet tall. They're pretty much made for war. And one thing that SLA did in history, which is very cool, is they sold a bunch of these guys to a bunch of worlds, and then they kind of did like that Order 66, and these guys all turned against the worlds that bought them, and for SLA. So I think it's smart. They're just ass kickers, and they can regenerate. They love the camera loves them because they kick so much ass. They have a higher maximum for their ability, like their stats. And you've got the Stormer 711 Xeno, and these all their like genetic makeup comes from certain characters that are in the meta plot of SLA Industries. But the Stormer 711 Xeno is very alien looking. And one thing I think is a little strange is they give him these crazy eyes, but he really doesn't have any like special vision with it. But the skin is what they're all about. They can regenerate a little bit too. They have adaptive skin, and in essence, they can camouflage themselves. It can change, and they get bonuses to pretty much hiding, to do any type of stealth type stuff. And their skin is armored as well. And one thing that's neat about it has like little protective flaps. So you could it has small pockets in the skin that you could carry stuff like a knife or ammo. So they're good at like sneaking into places stealthily with their camouflage skin. And they're 7 feet tall, which they're not going to do too much sneaking. But, not standing out too much. And then they can hide a knife in their skin. I just think that's awesome. The Shacktars are going to be, in essence, a reptilian type, a bit reptilian. They originally looked like the Predator from the movie Predator. And that was a little not great. It just was too close. They looked almost 100% like Predators. So they kind of gave them more of a human face here. I think they look much better. They've made a Shacktar and a Wraithen book, which is absolutely excellent, I think, as well. They're honor bound, so they're very much kind of like Klingons. They're very much about codes. the honor of them, and they have a prehensile tail that they can actually do stuff with it. But they're all about kind of their history, their culture, and they're cool. They're just badasses, and I'm a big fan of them. Now the Wraithen I've always enjoyed. The art for the first edition was just fantastic. This is okay too. It's kind of in the same pose. The face doesn't look as cool as I think it did in the first edition, but I still really like these guys. They're kind of like a mixture of, again, kind of like a reptile and a cat. They love hunting. That's what they're all about. They come from like an Arctic, snowy world, and their bodies have to have like a cooling suit to cool them down. Um, but they're just very cool. They love to hunt. Um, they have really acute senses when it comes to like tracking their prey. And what SLA did was they went on these worlds and they picked out a couple of species that they were like, you're gonna be great for like the Mort jungle, the city of that is Mort, and that's where the Shakhtar and the Wraithen come in. They used to be called Wraith Raiders, but I like Wraithen better. And they're only like 5 to 6 feet tall, but they're exceptionally like fast. They're highly motivated, it says, but their weaknesses are that they're ruthless and they have self-serving attitudes. They're almost kind of a little bit like humans, a little bit in that regard. But a very cool race to play. If you've got a guy at the table and they want to play like a sniper, like somebody that really hunts people down, Wraithen is the way to go. And it's not so much about the abilities that they have. I mean, they do get this. It says Wraithen are natural hunters, a skill set instilled in them from birth. As such, a Wraithen is considered to have one additional skill dice success when making a tracking roll. So one of their skill dice, not even one of them, they just get an additional skill dice success. So they're going to be great at when they're tracking prey, tracking whoever they need to track. Now, this is one of the new ones here. This is the advanced carrion. They are in essence the enemy. They were one of the main enemies of the first edition, and what they did was SLA kind of watched some of them when they were pups in essence, and the ones that were true survivals, they kind of brought them into SLA, and they're trying to use them as operatives for the company. And so it's just a neat take on them because they've got a cool look to them with this like bone, like again kind of a horse type face, head. But they're survivors. The carrion have been just an absolute plague on SLA and the area around the city. But it's cool that now you can play them, and they talk about how they're a new species to the town, to the city, and how people have to kind of deal with them. And they have a familiar breed, it says, while a far cry from their kin, advanced carrion are able to communicate flawlessly with the other members of the carrion genus, which is cool. So they get a +2 modifier to success dice for all charisma and cool rolls. And it's cool. I mean, they know how to deal with those. And that used to be one of the main foes in the game. And then you got the Neophron. This is one of the new races that just kind of showed up. They are a bird-like race, and they have... they're very charming. They like to dress very fancy. They have a very inquisitive mind. They play investigators very well. That's what the Neophron do. And that's the choices that you have. And I think it's a good amount. You can see here they've got minimums and maximums for their different stat limits. That's how you kind of work with that. Rating points are interesting. They're pretty much points that you can do some fancy stuff with if you use them, if you spend them in essence, based off 3 different kind of classes, I guess you could say: body, brain, and bravado. And they allow you to do kind of almost like stunts almost. Again, great art. You can see here Neophron here, like in studying, doing something in like a library. And again, it's a much better layout. Of course, this poor girl's crying. He's trying to offer her like a lollipop, and he's got this. He's a monster in essence. So it's kind of funny. You've got kind of the corporate thing here going on there. And one thing I like about it too is that you've got these species skills. So whatever species you play, you're going to kind of get some basic ones just for being that type of species. Very cool. And then you've got your ebb disciplines here for the ebonite characters, and they get a starting kind of package too, whether they are a waster or an ebon. So very neat. And then you have some maximum ranks for those training packages. So this is where a lot of that kind of comes in with the BPNs, like strike and sweep, close assault, heavy support. And so when you're making your team, your squad, the players in the game, it's cool to be able to think like, I'm a scout, or I'm taking the technical package, or I'm a more of a bureaucrat. I don't know who would want to play that, but I mean, the options there. Or I'm heavy support. I'm a big Shakhtar. I'm a stormer, and I'm going to get support weapons, which are going to be big weapons that are going to cut down on recoil. Or, you can just kind of look and see what your team needs and take it accordingly. Plus, it's something you could add to other books. They've come up with other training packages. And then you're going to have a bunch of starting skills. Now, one thing it does have that's kind of like a throwback to the old 90s, which I don't mind, are traits. These are going to be advantages and disadvantages, giving you more points to buy more skills. Um, and I don't have no problem with that. I mean, characters should be flawed, and I don't mind there being a system in a game. Of course, I like Vampire, I like White Wolf, and they did a lot of that too. So you can have phobias, you're a pacifist, maybe you've got a psychosis, or, good housing, good hearing, whatever the case may be. Encumbrance is pretty easy. It's going to be character's encumbrance is equal to 8, or their strength times 3, whichever is higher. And then you're just going to kind of do that down until it gets to a certain point, and then you're going to start having negatives. Pretty easy. And then you got the rules and mechanics here. Again, showing you those target numbers, automatic pass. You've got 4, 7, 10, 13, and 16 for an insane roll. You're going to have a bunch of bonuses in order to get those. Telling you about how to do unskilled characters. It's like I said, you've got the stuff here like the successes. +1 skill die is going to be an excellent success. It will herald no additional benefits, though a particularly generous GM may grant some additional information, allow players to notice additional clues, or provide a small discount when haggling. That's how that +1 works. And then, of course, if you get all the way up to unbelievable, results of this magnitude will save lives, earn sponsorship deals, and get you noticed. Unbelievable success should be rewarded accordingly, either with a ratings point, so you can actually, one thing that's cool is the rating points that you can spend to do stuff, you can give those for failures or for great successes too, so that's neat. And of course, your margin of success and failure, that has to do with, again, these successes here. As it says here, important, when the success die results in a success, only successes rolled on skill dice are considered, ignoring all failed skill dice. The same is true in reverse. When the success die results in a failure, only failures rolled on a skill dice are counted, ignoring all skill dice successes. So hopefully you won't, yeah, that's where you can really screw yourself. They deal with fear here. A lot of this stuff is just very easy. They've done a real easy job with that. It is dex and concentration. You add that to your initiative bonus. When you re-roll a d10 and you add your initiative bonus for initiative. Pretty easy there. And then so you come to hand combat. It gets a little bit more complicated here, because you've got some defenses you can do about it. If you have combat defense as a skill and acrobatic defense as a skill, they give you negatives to their roll for every skill rank that you have in it. And acrobatics is actually better than combat defense. So that's cool. Natural weapons. A lot of these different species have a bunch of different natural weapons. So that's cool. It shows you here, like the Neophron have a beak attack, and the Wraithen have their teeth, where the Malice Stormer, Xeno Stormer, Shakhtar, and Advanced Carrion, they have teeth and claws. And then ranged combat. Ranged combat, you need to get a 10. That's how you shoot stuff. And that makes it kind of easy. It reminds me of the first edition a lot. Dealing with rate of fire that allows you to do stuff, and they made this easy too. With a burst fire, you may re-roll any success die. This success die, full auto, you may roll any or all the dice, and so that's how that works. They kind of really streamline that, thank God, because suppressive fire, full automatic, and burst fire have always just been an absolute pain in games. I do wish some sections were a little bit highlighted, like actual rules that, like, I like how they had some like bold stuff here, like important. I wish they would do that like in other sections, just to kind of really spotlight it so you can find it easy on the page. So that kind of gets me. Of course, you're going to have some modifiers for shooting and stuff. Let me see what else we got here. You can aim. Of course, that's a big deal over a certain amount of rounds. Let's see. Grenades. Of course, you got metric system, so you have to deal with that. Cool piece of art like that. Like I said, I'm pleased with all the art in it. Pretty much, it has a much better coherency than the first edition did. You've got your stat blocks for your weapons here. It's going to show you have minimum damage, which I like that. I mean, you get hit with a bullet, you should have some sort of minimum damage it's going to make. So this gun here, which is your basic auto pistol you're going to get in the beginning, is going to be 1d10 minus 2 with a minimum damage of 3. The AD is armor damage. It's going to start to degrade the armor of the foe that you hit. It's got your rate of fire. Recoil, that's going to go against your shot. So if it has a recoil of 1, you have a -1 to your attack roll. Pretty easy. Nothing really negates that except I think like a physical thing that you put on a gun. And I like that. Let's see. Here it is. So, a static, yeah, just like melee combat, you need a 10. So it's the same thing. Also, like hand-to-hand combat, a static target number of 10 is also used for all skill rolls to hit. Thus, any result of 10 or more after adjustments indicates a hit. I just wish that right there was like bold and big. Like that's the part you're looking for to see how you make an attack roll. So some stuff is, again, very modernized. But it's just a couple of things I wish it was just a little bit bigger. That's all. Dual wielding is not too bad either. It's kind of got to be kind of a smaller weapon, things like that. Damage, the more skill die successes you have, the more damage you'll do, or you can target body parts. So that's pretty cool. You can either do straight damage, or you can say, okay, I'm gonna hit him in the leg, or I'm gonna hit him in the arm. I think that's neat. It gives you a good example here of how you can use that. It says, for example, if a target is hit with 4 skill die successes, which is a bunch, instead of inflicting +6 damage and hitting the head, the combat may instead choose to hit the arm or leg. You can kind of do it down. They pretty much are saying, look, you've got it so on target that you're able to move that around a little bit if you want to shoot them in the arm or shoot them in the leg. So that's good. So it's +6 damage and hit to the head whenever you get 4 skill dice successes. So you're kind of working up to that. Of course, your strength's going to give you more damage. Rate of fire is going to give you more damage. You've got your different types of ammunition. If you've got high explosive or armor piercing, I mean, I want to see it in practice, just to see if it doesn't bog down. I think it's a game where the more you play it, the better you're going to get, and a lot of the stuff will be faster. They've got some conditions here, which I like. They're just, I like it when games just give you exactly what it means when it says you are this or you get that, and tell me exactly what that means. There is no like, let's just go sleep off this injury. There is a lot of medical intervention. There is technology, but it's not like super technology of like a high advanced world or universe. Drugs can help you. The healing ebb ability, regeneration, and then when you have downtime, your characters heal. It'd be nice if rule books all did that. Those rules that need looking up, like bold and yeah, they've done, like I said, they have done a good job with this game. I'm very pleased with what I've seen. It's just after seeing so many other games, you really start to see about like, why is it just like right there? And why couldn't this have been this? So it just, a little disappointing. I guess it's something you're just going to get used to. Granted, it's a very basic rule. You need to roll a 10. But still, it'd be nice to have it in there, especially for somebody new. They do let you know about, like, if you want to stack armor, repairing armor. And that's one thing I really like about it, is the weapons do degrade armor. Something else you're going to have to keep up with, but that's the way it needs to be with armor and weapon guns. And so repairing your armor with a skill that you have, I love it whenever a game is able to pull a mechanical type skill and make you want to get it, or to have a player and their character is your mechanic in the squad. He is your techie, and he's going to fix all your gear, and it explains about what you need and how much money it's going to cost to repair that gear. You've got hit points and you've got wounds, and wounds are going to be where you really take a lot of hit point damage, and that's where you can become bleeding, and you can have a critical against you. So that's pretty important there. I've already got the healing, the regeneration is not super fast, which I like too, because it says here, the regeneration rate represents the number of hit points and or wounds that the character can heal every 15 minutes. So you're not going to be in the middle of combat just being like, boop, 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 boop. Here's another hit point. So I like that a bunch. Here's the rating points. So that whole stuff that you get for those, the cost of them and what they do for you. They can be where, like, you remove all negative modifiers to a hit from any ranged attack. It's very cool. So you spend your 1 point, and they don't, this is something that you have to kind of gain, you have to earn back in the game. You'll get a set amount of them, but you have to earn them kind of back. So that you can just negate all the modifiers. Or here, like right here, it's only a flesh wound. And of course, this is based off the body, and then these are bravado. This is brains, but like it's only a flesh wound. This is another thing. I wish that the actual what it's got some descriptive stuff here, and then I just wish that what it actually does would be bold. So like this feat should be used only. Where is it? Let's see. The wound is ignored, and regardless of the damage inflicted, the character just loses 1 hit point. That's a cool one right there. It's going to cost you 2 of those, though. But still, they're trying to add some sort of meta currency into making your character a little bit cooler, be able to do some stuff, and I think that's a good idea. It's definitely more in line with modern game design. A lot of, that's out there. Here's a whole section about drugs. It is important, of course, to like the frothers, or if you want to just juice up as it is. Drugs play a big part in SLA. And you can become addicted to them. There is long-term addiction and how you have to deal with that. Some of them are like on a yearly basis. What happens to you, like -2 hit points permanently. So I like that, how to come off drugs, long-term addiction. Like I said, there's some rules for vehicles. It's not extremely deep. There's no like chase rules or anything like that. Repairing vehicles, how to have combat with them, and then of course the section on the ebb. Absolutely love the ebb. The whole thing about it. The art here for them is great. Explaining more about how the history of it kind of came to be and how you use your ebb abilities. Now they have it's called the FR, which is the formula rating or formulae rating. And so this is in essence your target number, and each one of these is going to have a target number. So you have it by rank. So if you get awareness in your rank 1, you'll get both these abilities: detect ebb and track ebb. You can sense other ebonites. Or whenever it's been used, like the recent presence of ebonites and the use of flux. Flux is in essence their mana. And then you get rank 2, you're going to get 2 abilities, so on and so forth. But I really like that it's got like a roll that you have to do for it. You have to do a test. It's called calculating the ebb. You have to spin. It's always just 1 point of flux. There is a way with extra skill dice successes to do more damage. To be able to do that discipline again at a lower formula rating. I'm going to call it formula. And then if you do 4 more, you regain that flux that you spent. So that's fantastic. Of course, if you fail terribly, it'll eat up that flux and it'll cost you another flux. Plus, I think it'll kind of screw you up in the head or something for a second. I think you kind of like you're stunned or something. They immediately suffers 3 hit points. That could be detrimental, and that could kill you in the middle of battle, which cannot be prevented, and loses a point of flux if they have any left to lose. Additionally, the recover action must be taken during the next combat round. Recover action is pretty much like, I'm not doing anything, I'm going to take a breather. So you've got awareness, blast. Blast is pretty much 2 things, except it kind of does a little bit more. They've added some more stuff in there. They've solidified some of the disciplines. You've got blast and bomb. It's pretty much like a gun or a grenade that you create with your mind with the ebb. And then they've added some other stuff in there like night vision, a blinding flash, star orb. I like extreme blast and extreme bomb. Communicate, read minds, converse with people, deep read, a lot of mental stuff there. Enhance is a great one. Teeth and claws. You can boost both your strength and your dex with boost. You can become more resilient, toughen skin, better claws, better armored skin. Or you can become this huge hulking ebb beast right here. And then you've got heal, you've got protect. This is cool because this all involves your death suit. And so, and as you can see, like she's healing here. You can have like you go from a normal death suit, you can get like a medium one, like light to medium, and then medium to heavy. And you can hold more flux in the suit. You can do a bunch of stuff with the suit. I just always love the death suit, and just kind of the way it looks and what it does. Reality folding is a big deal here. That's where you can jump port, object port. You can mass port a bunch of people. In essence, you're jumping. You become a dune highlighter. Highlighter, is that what they're called? I can't remember. Senses, of course, super senses and stuff like that. Telekinesis, lift and throw, shield yourself like this right here. You've got manipulate, fly, thermal. So you've got two different types of thermal here, blue thermal and red thermal. Heat resistance, cold resistance, ice blade, um, extreme burn. So that's neat. And then they have a lot of fiction in here too. They help you kind of see what's going on. And I like that a lot. I don't think enough games do that for their worlds. And now this is something we definitely didn't have. We had to kind of look at art and wonder what it was. But they've got, this is, all your hardware here, your weapons. So there's a lot of cool pieces of art to let you visualize the way they work. Here's that claymore that a lot of the frothers use. A bunch of different guns. I like the look of them. I've always loved this. The blister, that was one in a piece of art, and I really like the way that looks. That snubber right there looks great. And you can see some of them are going to lose their minuses, and they're going to go up to positive and pluses. Like right here, it's a 1d10 plus 3. So that's cool. They tell you about the different companies. Like this is all Finn stuff right here. And so there's a little bit of like history of the company and what guns they make. Some people they like certain guns like in the world, so they only use Finn. Maybe they're sponsored by Finn. They give kind of do like commercials for them, or highlight that that's the weapon that they just killed a guy with. Especially if they're one of the contract killers. I love all the armors. They even got armors that are like for the Neophrons. Sorry, Neophrons. I'm still getting used to all the new language. I love this armor here. Power cell, crack shot armor. I love the doggy bone armor. That piece of art from first edition was really cool, and I like being able to see it more like that. This silverback armor actually lets you fly a little bit. That's pretty neat. Body blocker is kind of like your basic stuff. And then you've got these things here, the hypo fist. In essence, it's a gauntlet. You're like wearing like the infinity gauntlet almost, but inside it is drugs. You've got drugs in that shoot up into you. So that's cool. There's just a lot of stuff to this game, I could ramble on this for a long time. All the different companies, I know I've talked about that in the beginning, but it's a very cool book, and they've done a really great job. I'm excited to do the overview for them. There's a lot more stuff I haven't talked about. There's an actual index, so that's cool. And there it is. So I'll leave it with that, and here's the back of it. I'm not a fan, I will say this, of a lot of new games. I'm not a fan of these type of covers. I know they look good. I know they feel good, but they're so prone to like lines, damage, dinks, like little dents and stuff like that. I just don't like them. My second edition D&D books have got a completely different type of cover, and they just hold up so much better. They don't show dings and wear and little scratches like these do. So that's kind of unfortunate. It's like if you rub anything on it, it makes a mark that's never going to come away. So they look good, they feel good, but man, they will quickly look like they've got damage on them. So that's something I kind of wish they wouldn't do. But there it is. There's SLA second edition. It's late now. I appreciate you watching there, and I'll be doing an overview of this. Maybe I'll talk about it more in another live stream if people see this and want to talk more about it, or if I do another look through. I actually didn't read it, just kind of give you a little overview of how it is, but I'll do the official one probably soon. Probably be my next video that I do that's an actual overview. So thanks for watching there, whoever's still there, and hope you check me out next time. Have a good night. Have a good weekend.